Today on the Topic Show, Hunter Biden found guilty on gun charges. Biden proposes removing medical debt from credit reports. Biden also appears to freeze in Juneteenth celebration. UAW President Sean Fain is under federal investigation for possible corruption. Rachel Maddow is worried that Trump might put her into a camp. A woman stabs a 3-year-old to death and smirks during her sentencing and trial. Buc-ee's opens their largest station yet, this time in Texas. Some popular car brands, unfortunately, are dying this year, and Dodge, Ram, and Durango are being recalled. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Peace, me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Buc-ee's opening their largest station yet, this time in Luling, Texas. Now, this is first brought to us by a local news outlet by the name of KHOU 11. They note that Houston woman is one of the first among line at the new location, and it went viral. She says, "This is something I could do that brought me joy today. I wouldn't miss it for an extra 2 hours of sleep. I wouldn't miss it for the world." And let's see, go ahead and play a minute or two here. Kind of show you the extravaganza that it is.
Well, chances are, if you've taken a road trip in Texas, you've heard of Buc-ee's or at least seen their billboards, right? How can you miss them? And now you can expect to see more along I-10.
Everything is bigger, honey, and we love it. KVUE's Eric Pointer joins us now live from beautiful Luling, Texas. Eric, you've been partying. Where'd your cowboy hat go? Anyways, I'm already hungry thinking about it. We love it so much. I know everyone else from different states thinks we're lunatics, but we love our Buc-ee's.
We definitely do. It's a Southern staple, right, Eric?
Oh, for sure it is. It has become this big cultural phenomenon. I took the hat off because we've been running around a lot this morning. There's a lot going on right now. We're by the fudge station, 21 different kinds of fudge, but it's that and so much more that bring people here. I went to the location in New Braunfels to ask people why they like it so much, and this is what they had to say about it becoming so popular.
Miles before you even get there.
It's all about Texas. I mean, it represents Texas.
There are signs.
It's a great little stopping ground when we're driving through.
Getting you geared.
Their signs are really exceptionally good advertising. They have the most hilarious phrases, and most of them are around, you can hold it because their bathrooms are exceptionally clean, which is a rare thing with a lot of the competitive. I'm not saying there's a 100% chance to get stabbed at a Shell gas station. I'm just saying it's not zero, and there's usually about 12, well, not 12, a couple inches of dust in all the drinks every time I go there. So I don't think I've been there a couple of decades, but nevertheless.
Geared up.
It's delicious. We were hungry.
For a stop at the Beaver.
Everyone knows.
That is brilliant. Each outside of the locations, they usually have this. Let me get that second.
Yes, we were hungry.
For a
They usually have that hilarious big old metal beaver, and it's great marketing. Everyone who goes to Buc-ee's has to get that picture, and if you look really closely, it's actually on top of the Texas Star, which again is A+ marketing. That mascot is, I don't know how much that trademark is worth, but it is minting money for them.
stop at the Beaver.
Everyone knows Buc-ee's.
The hit franchise started as just a gas station in 1982, but they opened their first travel center as we know them now in 2003 in Luling, Texas.
Welcome into Buc-ee's.
Now it's turned into a place for people passing through to pick up their favorites.
I'm always getting their iced tea, their jerky.
I think the variety of barbecue options are pretty great.
The brisket sandwiches are good.
And of course,
I love the beaver nuggets.
The beaver nuggets are
Beaver
good.
nuggets, yeah, those are awesome.
Again, great way to differentiate yourself from the competition because every store will have Pepsi and Coca-Cola products. You'll be able to get your high fructose corn syrup in a can. That's not really proprietary. You just need a reseller agreement, basically. Now, Buc-ee's, like many major retailers, they're having their own branded products and they make stuff in store, which of course you can only get it there because it's made by Buc-ee's. That's perfect to have that kind of exclusive, I was about to say content, but in this case, actually food material.
Well, they may come for the ever popular beaver nugget, or the seasonal merch, or even a fudge sample.
but it's something you can't pay for that keeps people coming back, and that's the culture.
It offers consistency. You know when you show up, it's going to be clean, it's going to be friendly.
Scott Ramon, general manager for the new Braunfels location, says the famous rest stop has built up popularity through its reputation.
When people come in, they're so excited. It's like Disneyland here.
And
Well, bad comparison since that company's kind of, I won't say burned to the ground, but yeah, Disney's done a great job really effective job alienated a huge portion of their former clients. And yeah, when it comes to Buc-ee's, I've been to some really busy Buc-ee's. I've never seen a dirty one. It's always the cleanest beaver out there. Wait, crazy. But nevertheless, it is one of the best gas stations out there. Still privately owned. Maybe a lot of people someday. Now the newest location, in terms of square footage, it's going to be, let me scroll down here really quick, 75,000 square foot, which is up from the previous record, which is 1,000 feet less. And that was over in Tennessee, which previously was the largest one. This is actually going to replace, in terms of Luling, replacing a store that they opened in 2003. This is also the 50th nationwide Buc-ee's, 36th in Texas. Or, if you feel so inclined, you pronounce it properly, Texas. So, not too surprised to see Buc-ee's continuing to exponentially just grow like a weed. Because, again, they have an exceptional product, they have exceptional service. And if you need a rest stop, it is the place to be. So let me know if you, depending on where you are in the country, maybe you've seen them before. It's one of those companies that's slowly expanding outside the state of Texas, more and more opening outside and even going far north as Tennessee. Let me know, have you ever heard of it before or been there? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have all the cars that we moderately loved, some not so much, and they are dying in 2024. Some iconic, some mildly boring and amusing. But thanks to Car and Driver, we're going to talk about the ones that we will no longer see coming up in 2025. Oh, whoopsies. Now, this has come to us thanks to Ralph Albarsh. They say there's a couple going. So one of the first ones is the Audi TT and TT Coupe and Convertible. The Audi TT is one of the best little fun cars out there. It's a little Audi Coupe, and back in the day, you can get it with a good old manual transmission, which every car should have by default. Unfortunately, Volkswagen Group has not been doing great lately. Stock's down about 20% past 6 months. And the CEO, I'm actually surprised he said this publicly, said that they're no longer competitive as a brand. Now, keep in mind, Volkswagen Auto Group owns many things we love and hold dear to our heart, including Audi, including Lamborghini, including Porsche or Porsche, if you feel so inclined, and even Ducati and a couple other exotic car brands. So, kind of sad that they're getting rid of one of their iconic little sports cars. Another one they're getting rid of, even more iconic, the Audi R8, as well, coupe and convertible, which, styling-wise, that looks like one of the coolest cars out there. And of course, they used to come with an iconic 12-cylinder, good old V10. Sorry, brain fart. It is also, again, they own Lamborghini, which every Lamborghini should have a V12, and many people just say this is a discounted Lamborghini because, spoiler alert, they use a lot of the same parts. But yeah, back in the day, you can get this with a V8. Although a lot of those did come with a stick shift. And then, of course, you get it with the V10. I think they even had an E-gear one or an electric one for the 12 people who wanted it. Which, and the Audi R8, when I was a kid, that was one of the coolest cars out there. And it's hard to see that go away. Looks like they first started production in 2008 and went all the way down to here. And that, I think it really came to the cultural provenance when Tony Stark had one of those movies, which, yeah, a lot of people love those Marvel movies, like roller coasters. Sad to see the good old Audi R8, and then of course the women know it because it was in the one terrible acting movie. What was it? 50 Shades of Grey, which, geez Louise, I've only seen previews of that, and yeah, I've seen better acting literally anywhere else. But nevertheless, rest in peace, the Audi R8, an icon you were. And you also are going to be losing the Chevy Bolt EV, which I don't know how many people are really going to miss this. They say it was they claimed it was the most affordable electric vehicle in 2023. For now, Chevrolet intends to launch a second generation Bolt. The brand has yet to share what exactly the next gen battery electric hatch arrives or when it will arrive. It can confirm though there won't be a 2024 model, which doesn't look pretty. It worked most of the time, usually. But I actually never saw one on the streets, anecdotally speaking. Have you? That one, you should be too surprised. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people at that car's funeral reminiscing about fun times they had in it. They're also going to be losing the Chevy Bolt EUV, which looks even more ugly. I'm not saying I could do better by just chicken scratching on a piece of printer paper, but nah, maybe not that far off. Now, they say that Chevrolet is temporarily nixing the entire Bolt lineup, with the Bolt EUV getting kicked out the door at the end of 2023 model year. They won't be missing the middle driving dynamics. We will mourn the loss of another affordable long-range battery EV. Again, have you seen one on the road? Granted, it's sort of anecdotal experience. I'm in the great state, or some might argue the straight country, of Texas, or rudimentarily called Texas. And yeah, again, I'm not surprised it's getting canceled. Maybe they must have sold really well in the Midwest or something. Now, another more exciting vehicle is going to be the Chrysler 300, which that looks, as youth might say, sick. I mean, that thing goes all the way up to, the SRT with the good old V8. Now, that was a pretty nice performance sedan. Now, they say that, quote, Chrysler's 2-car lineup for 2023 model year, Pacific 300, falls into just one for 2024, the demise of 300. The big rear-engine sedan never failed to endear us, at least when there was a V8 under the hood, even if it long since started to show its age. To commemorate its run, Chrysler released a limited edition 300C with a brawny 485 horsepower, 6.4 liter V8 under the hood. Expect the 300 successor to ditch the V8 to embrace EVs. And probably the straight 6 that Stellantis is kind of using for pretty much every one of their vehicles, which you'll have a turbo. But again, going from a good old V8, sedan to a little inline 6. The inline 6 is only appropriate in a BMW, I would argue. That's probably the best use case. And they actually have the integrity to give the customers what they want, also known as a stick shift, having 3 pedals and rolling the gears. You can't beat that feeling. If you haven't had that opportunity, I can't implore you to do that quickly enough. And yeah, I'm trying to remember what year it was. I did get the privilege of driving one of those back when I was in the automobile community, almost 10 years ago now. The Chrysler 300 with the V8 had some get up and go to it. It was one of those things where you never expected it because it didn't have the best styling. But again, for a good old V8, sedan, it was a pretty fun vehicle. Granted, of course, everything should have a manual, but nevertheless. Another one we're going to be missing is the Dodge Charger, which, don't get me started, the new one's going to be an EV, and then a 2-door with a straight 6 engine with an automatic transmission. I nearly threw up a little bit on the inside there. Now, they say that, quote, like the Chrysler's 300 Cushion, the 4-door Dodge Charger sedan bites the dust at the close of 23 model year. Despite its age, the Charger maintained to keep things interesting with a number of V8 variants over the years, including a more than 700 horsepower Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat, which styling does look pretty good. I can appreciate that. And yeah, if you can actually find one with a stick shift, that's a pretty fun ride. It's something about a V8 stick shift, like grocery getter or sedan. It just makes me smile a little bit. And of course, now that this is dying and being supplanted by disposable EV charger, which, yeah, in terms of search engine optimization and marketing, calling your EV Dodge Charger, yeah, it's not going to be good for people to try to find it, but unfortunately, rest in peace what used to be Dodge American Muscle. Another one we're losing is the Dodge Challenger, which that, as youth might say, is peak OG. Like, they had much, talk about diversity. You can get everything. I think the cheapest package is like 36 grand for, and again, they did a V6. I wouldn't get it, but of course they had the option. And it went all the way up to like 130 grand for like the top Banana Falcon XYZ Demon Banana Falcon package with a good old, of course, Hellfent engine. And of course, you had the option for a stick shift, like every car should have by default. That was, I venture to say, if that's peak American muscle. Because Camaro was obviously pretty good. They had some awesome options with the ZL1, the Z28, which of course stick shift options as well, big old V8s. Mustang is of course iconic. You could argue that the Mustang won the Pony War in the end because everything else has died or been bastardized into an EV or straight 6. But yeah, something about one of the best exhaust notes ever. I still remember the first time going on a ride along in a Charger and the Challenger. Like both those vehicles, exhaust notes are incredible, especially the Challenger. And you had the good old pistol grip, stick shift. Those are pretty cool. And again, the send-off, you gotta love the marvel of engineering. It's so sad that the company is being forced to go electric because of government ineptitudes, government coercion and regulations. Previously, I had a CEO of Dodge saying, we don't care about what the market says, we're always gonna make a V8, we know our customers. And it was one of the best bangs for your buck on the market, bar none. And if you had a Pulse, you can get a credit with Stellantis and get okay terms. And yeah, and of course they kept the old stick shift alive. Now, unfortunately, the Challenger, I mean, I can barely speak, it's so sad. The Dodge Challenger is going away, and they say, quote, though Dodge tinkered with the Challenger over the years, improving the interior and likely updating styling, a little bit, the two-door muscle cars remain just largely unchanged since it debuted in 2008. God, time flies. No surprise then that the current generation Charger is meeting its maker. Also, Dodge has no immediate plans to be replaced for 2024. However, this might hurt your earballs. The battery electric Charger Daytona SRT concept shows the brand has plans to eventually fill the Challenger's coupe size hole in the lineup. Which, again, there's nothing wrong with making a new vehicle and making a new EV. There are some people who want it, not people who know how to calculate an ROI or the cost of owning something like that that'll not last 20 years like a good old gas engine. But I partially digress. There's a lot of people who love EVs. And yet they just keep killing the most beautiful things. And I understand they're being coerced by government regulations and all these de facto gas bans. Maybe someday I'll get into politics. Although, I don't want to say the odds are zero, but yeah, I don't know how many people would vote for me. It'd be a fascinating, probably depressing thing. But nevertheless, I would at least make it a lot more better for businesses in the free market, which are words that some Americans don't even know these days. Other interesting vehicles are being canceled this year. The Ferrari F8 Tributo, which, looks pretty cool. It's a Ferrari. Interestingly enough, it's not red, which, I mean, when you think Ferrari, you think red. And traditionally, good old big engine. And, really, really traditionally back in the day, a stick shift. They killed a stick shift years ago because, yeah, they don't like money. If they really like money, they can maximize so much more profits just by making a stick shift because people are paying 2 to 3 times more for a stick shift vintage Ferrari than an automatic. When I say vintage, I think they stopped making them in a 2012-ish era. I mean, Ferrari is probably the brand I know the least about in terms of a performance brand. But yeah, I honestly don't know how many people are going to miss this Ferrari. I mean, there's always a wait list for Ferrari, so more often than not, maybe some people will want it, won't be able to get it. But let's see, what do they have to say about this Ferrari? They say the Ferrari F8 lives on in top tier Spider guys, but its coupe body style, Tribino, is no more. In fact, Ferrari imported just one 2023 F8 Tribino before ending production of the mid-engine 8-cylinder coupe. I don't know how many people the Fiat 500X, which I think I've seen 2 on the road. I don't know anyone who gladly, fondly has a Fiat in America. I mean, most hilariously, I know it from the acronym, fix it again, Tony, which is what people say Fiat stands for. I mean, in America, Fiat's mostly known for being a bastardized brand that they just slap Jeep logos on, since, again, the parent company Stellantis owns both brands, and Fiat famously bought out Jeep Dodge in the 2009 bankruptcy. So, oh well, no more Fiat. They say Fiat's lone vehicle in its U.S. lineup, the 500X, fails to see 2024 model year. Filling the hole will be the 2024 500e. Subcompact EV is far different than its 500X SUV, the successor to the 500 that Fiat pulled from the shores at the end of the prior decade. So it's going to become an EV. Who wants an EV Fiat? Maybe 2 guys in the U.S. built named Tony. I know a lot of companies are working on EVs. Some are doing some fantastical amounts of engineering. I don't think of Fiat when I think of EVs. And I know the company's going to use that same tech around all the platforms or all the brands that they own, but yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know how good that's going to go out. Another one's biting dust is the Ford Transit Connect, which, interesting name for marketing. Yes, if you're doing a transit van, you are connecting some products, some services to some people. They say that the compact van market is no more following the trend sparks of the Chevy City Express, Nissan NV200, and Ram ProMaster City. The Ford Transit Connect goes the way of the dodo. With the close of the 2023 model year, the Transit Connect was a great little workhorse for small businesses with urban operations and a flexible cargo area. Transit Connect buyers will now have to convert their full-size Transit to make do with a compact pickup such as the Maverick, or make do with the Maverick, which, interesting. In terms of space optimization, I would have thought this would last longer. I know in terms of that body style and that kind of usage, Mercedes Sprinter is one of the most popular ones. But yeah, also for small businesses and for all that stuff, Maverick's also a lot of great option too. See, scrolling down, what else are we gonna miss? The Jeep Cherokee. Oh no, what will Elizabeth Warren drive? Now, it says, more than a decade after nixing the Cherokee, Jeep has resurrected the model from 2014, Nearly a decade later, Jeep is once again pulling the plug on the Cherokee. We wager that the nameplate will return in the coming years, possibly during the forthcoming battery electric SUV, which I don't know who wants a battery. I know 3 people who might want a battery Jeep. And again, I think they said the first Jeep, the Wagoneer, one of those is going to be like $79,000 for the first one, which again, price point will probably decrease over time with be able to amortize that cost. But yeah, I don't know a lot of people who have Jeep and Cherokees. Perhaps that's why. I'm also going to lose a Jeep Renegade, which that's trash to begin with, because again, it's not really a Jeep. In terms of cost optimization, it's pretty good. You just take a rudimentary Fiat and slap on some pieces of plastic and say it's a Jeep. I've seen a couple of those throughout the years, but I don't know anyone who like loves their Jeep Renegade or brags about it or like smiles when they drive it. They say that Jeep will cull its littlest SUV from the lineup at the close of 2023 model year. The little Renegade combined its scaled-down Wrangler-like looks and responsibility capable off-road performance, but its small size and more than $30K starting price and chintzy interior made it a tough sell to the masses. The fact Jeep also sells a similarly priced and more spacious Compass certainly didn't help the Renegade's fate for sticking around. Let's see here. We have to speed up because a lot of these cars are dying, unfortunately. Kia Rio, which, not surprised about that one. Kia Stinger. Oh, that one's gonna hurt a little bit. That was a cool, good old, grocery getter. Yeah, I think they had the V8 option as well. Mazda CX-9, which Mazda is somehow still in business. Let's be honest, they're only known for the Miata, which is a great sporting vehicle. A lot of people, that's great for track days. Missing the Mazda MX-30. I'd be surprised if they sold more than 30 of them. The McLaren 720S Coupe and Convertible, the most reliable sports car on the market. That's a joke because, yeah, they are notorious for having the worst reliability. They make, I'm trying to think of the most unreliable thing. It's the most unreliable sports car out there. I mean, they depreciate like a rock. They're fun to drive. I have friends who have it and they love it. But yeah, they have so many electrical issues, it's not even funny. They said that the McLaren 720S is dead in name only. In its place, this spring, the 750S, essentially a worked over 720S. As its name implies, the 750S packs approximately 30 more horsepower than its numerically lesser 710 horsepower predecessor. So it's going away, but in all reality, they're probably just going to give it a little bit of a facelift, add a little bit more horsepower. Nothing. I'm not sure how many people will actually feel longing in their heart for the specific model, especially because it's not the McLaren F1. So I don't know. To me, that's the pinnacle McLaren that everyone kind of lusts after, which again, it's kind of a cliche in the automotive community. Is the pinnacle car for decades, the fastest, best engineered, good old V12 with the stick shift. It's amazing. Going down, you're also going to be missing the Mercedes C-Class Coupe and Convertible. Which, that kind of stinks because coupes are fun and fewer companies are making them. They also have the Mercedes CLS Class, will be going away. Mercedes E-Class Coupe. A lot of consolidation in the Mercedes brand. And also the Mercedes Matris. They say it's another full-size sedan, no longer be reaching our stores as Mercedes nixes a mid-size van from the 2024 lineup. Also have Nissan Maxima, which Nissan is consolidating a lot of their brands and cost. Which, yeah, that's probably one of the most popular things Nissan sold, that and the Altima in terms of overall their revenue and number of units pushed out. So it'll be interesting to see what consumers move over to. Now they say that Nissan is the latest auto manufacturer to exit the full-size sedan segment. Unlike Ford, however, Nissan isn't abandoning sedans entirely. The Versa, Sentra, and Altima occupying the subcompact, compact, and mid-size sedan segments. Don't count the Maxima out yet, either, as the nameplate is due to adorn a forthcoming electric sedan from Nissan, which I don't know about that. Also going to be missing the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo, which is not 911 or Cayman, so I wouldn't want it. But nevertheless, they say it's going to be going the way of the Dodo. Which, looks kind of cool for, 4-door. Unfortunately, I think it's an automatic only, so I don't know how much fun it would really be to drive. But a lot of iconic cars, or, not iconic, some memorable cars that are biting the dust this year as the ever-moving evolution of automobiles. Be interested to see how much subcompact and compact cars can really stay around, as, again, most of the profits coming from automotive companies these days for years have been trucks, SUVs, and crossovers, and sports cars. That's where a lot of the profits come from. A lot of the entry-level small cars, they actually lose money on it. So it's good for getting people introduced to the brand and, like a long-term ROI for it, which is why a lot of them used to tolerate those costs for years. But yeah, a lot of companies are pinching their belts, trying to make every penny count. It'll be interesting to see if some more companies just abandon it altogether. Let me know in the comments, are you going to miss any of those vehicles? Have you even heard of some of those? As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Rachel Maddow worried that Trump will put her into a camp, and not a feminization camp. I don't think it's going to teach her how to, cook or dress or, give her some fashion advice, which I'd say she probably could desperately use. But she's worried she should be put into a camp somehow, which it's Rachel Maddow. I mean, take everything she says with a drop of salt. Well, not a drop, more like a metric ton, because she's about as right as Jim Cramer is when it comes to stocks. Yeah, never. Although, both bombastic personalities. I'd say she's a lot more irrational, which is saying something. But, yep, she's off the rocker once again. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to Colin Rugg over at X Twitter. And Colin said, quote, "New conspiracy theorist Rachel Maddow says she's worried that Donald Trump will put her in camps intended for illegal immigrants. LMFAO. The Russian hoaxer told CNN that Trump is planning to build camps that will hold millions of people." And he says, here's Maddow crying about the border crisis when Trump was in office. She has nothing to say about the current Biden border crisis, of course. And this is the part of the show where I usually say the voice is infinitely better than mine. Granted, the bar is pretty low, but like 39 seconds, I can't help but venture to say, I think my voice is just it is better than hers. But nevertheless, we'll still listen to what she has to say or cry. Without too much further ado, and I apologize for the eye strain, because again, the view is not the best for her or I, but nevertheless, let's see what she attempts to say.
Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children. Hold on. To at least 3. Can we put up the graphic of this? Thank you. Do we have it? No. 3 tender age shelters in South Texas. Lawyers and medical providers. I think I'm going to have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.
As emotionally intelligent and intellectually as intelligent as a child, Rachel Maddow crying. Or maybe she's just really good at acting. Oh, it's even not that great acting because I don't see any visual tears on there. But yeah, struggling to talk about that when I could understand if you're covering a really emotionally charged topic, like, a child dying, or there are instances where there are very sad stories that might elicit an emotional response. But yeah, talking about people who broke the law and they're being sent back home, fascinating that, again, I don't know if she's just pretending, but yeah, it's just too much for her to comprehend. Now, what pretty well got 900,000 views and 8.6 thousand likes. Yeah, she's saying, worried about, anyone in power. And she says also, quote, "I'm worried about the country broadly if we put someone in power who is openly avowing that he plans to build camps to hold millions of people and root out illegal immigrants. For that matter, what convinces you that these massive camps he's planning are only for migrants? So yes, I'm worried about me, but I'm as much worried about all of us." Is she, though? Now, one of the first comments comes from Paul Zupa saying, quote, "The media is both projecting and panicking at the same time. Biden is who's been locking up political opposition in jail for decades, and now he's going to lose because of the other reasons. Maddow will just be fine. She's rich," unquote. Got 193 likes. Art Candy, our favorite contrarian, well, not really favorite, but appreciate different perspectives because it makes life a little bit more interesting, and echo chambers could get a little bit boring. Now, Art Candy, who, again, I don't want to diss her intellect, but her name is Art Candy, spelled Candee. Almost as if she has a profession of an exotic pejorative dancer. But she also has a picture of popcorn, and it looks like water in a cup with a straw, which I don't know what kind of psychopath drinks water from a straw in a cup. But she doesn't even have candy emojis, and those are available. I may not be an emoji aficionado, but I know they exist. Now, she does say, and again, in terms of her background, let's see, she's a verified account, got 32,000 followers. She is dubbed as a liberal pundit, and she says that in her description. And again, I do agree with her. She's in the fact that she says the country is doomed if we don't communicate. So again, I can appreciate her having that type of perspective because, again, that's what I think our country really could benefit from more. Which is why I think X Twitter is worth paying for. It's one of the only social media platform actually paid to have like an authorized or blue check mark. Not to brag, but that means I do have $7 a month to spend on social media. Humble brag. But in our, getting back to the meat and bones here, so to say, our Candy says, where exactly do you think Trump will put them before they're deported? Will he let them stay in their homes and pick them up and drive them to the airport? What is that? The eye roll emoji. And she did get 27 likes. Now, of course, if Trump were to hear about her, he'd probably maybe saying something in this effect of, I don't care about our Candy, she's got barely any likes. She got 27 likes. In fact, I've seen Topping get 28 once. I swear, it was huge. Lots of likes. Magnificent. Granted, it's probably the worst Trump impression you hear all year, but you did hear it here, and hopefully it made you laugh a little bit. Now, she got 36 people to respond. I wonder if she was ratioed. Not by likes, but let's see. Biley Bites Lib says, if you're not an illegal immigrant, then you have nothing to worry about. I got 1 like. Mr. Will says, what's your address? We'll send them there. Massey Green says, he says they'll go directly out. He's not saying he's wasting money on hosting them, getting 1 like. So it looks like, though she's not ratioed by number of likes, the number of comments, let's see here, are mostly against her. Here. Going down more and more. We have Sassfras84 saying, well, isn't this rich? They're mass projecting. Remember when AOC and Hillary Clinton called for re-education camps for Trump supporters' children? I remember that. I can even pull up the video. They wanted to deprogram anyone who supported Trump. Anyway, here it is. This video got 1.1 thousand likes. See, Heather 007 says, while Rachel Maddow is having a meltdown, knows forget this. This is Hillary Clinton. I was going to say, as wise as she is beautiful, and I should, for the record, say, I want to live a long, prosperous life. I don't want to prematurely end it. Just throwing it out there. Usually I say their voices are infinitely better and more eloquent than mine, but in this case, it's just a voice.
And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen.
And how do you do that? Because you said you have to defeat them by defeating their leader. Their leader is Donald Trump. Even you have said that you expect him to be the Republican nominee. How does this change at all?
At this point, I think, sadly, he will still. And sadly,
Hillary Clinton, totally not corrupt, evil. Totally didn't destroy all the emails on her server and the cell phones, and made up the whole Russia with the Steele dossier, and only paid a small little fine, got slapped on the wrist. I totally coincidence that she has the highest disproportional rate of people around her who just commit suicide. I think it was 28 people last time I checked. And again, just coincidence, I'm sure. Again, just for the record, I love life and intend to live it to the fullest for many, many years and never end the game prematurely, so to say. Throwing it out there. Now that video clip of Hillary Clinton got 333 likes. Interesting. Half of something. Fascinating coincidence. Nevertheless, scrolling down more and more, you have Merch saying she's a joke, and it says Rachel Maddow says MSNBC doesn't broadcast things that are untrue. Aha, I got 263 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Junita Broderick says she's so weak and dumb as dirt, it won't happen, but I wish it would. Got 1,000 likes, which, again, I don't think you should never wish for anyone to go to those re-education camps, even if you don't agree with them. So I definitely don't agree with Julia Broderick in the fact that, we wish you could send them to re-education camps. Now, saying she's weak and dumb as dirt, that's an insult to dirt. Dirt is actually pretty expensive, and many dirt, if you go to somewhere like a Home Depot or Lowe's, is actually filled with many nutrients. So you could actually conceivably argue that a bag of dirt is actually worth more than Rachel Maddow. Not an out of this realm possibility. So, again, don't disrespect dirt that way. But nevertheless, scrolling down more and more, you have Gizmo saying, first AOC, now Maddow, is clearly a Democratic strategy orchestrated talking point, getting 163 likes. Florida 1 says, it's funny how she doesn't look back at the lies of 1, the pandemic scare narrative, Russiagate, Hillary spying, Hunter laptop, 51 intelligent people saying that Russia, etc. She seems to not want to remember her role in any of this, getting 175 likes, which, yeah, you should probably acknowledge it. And again, every news outlet, everyone makes mistakes. I mean, I had a covering earlier this week where I talked about how Biden appeared to defecate himself at a D-Day celebration, or commemoration, rather. And the next day, I found there was actually an extended clip where he was making that awkward squatting before he sat down. That being said, his facial expression still looked as if he were defecating himself. But again, the next day, I had a video where I said, hey, I found this new clip. This was just brought to my attention. Here's the fully extended clip. And this is why some people are saying maybe he didn't relieve himself on national TV yet again. So again, everyone makes mistakes. We're mostly human, although some might argue some people have the personalities of a robot, but nevertheless. Sherry also says, so these are the talking points that MSN was given. We all know they have meeting to review the daily propaganda, getting 122 likes. So looks like, yeah, Miss Maddow was mostly, as you might say, ratio. Now, I'll do one more. Mike Sasparilla says she has 20,000 viewers on MSNBC. She's not that important. Getting 193 likes, which, yeah, it's all about personal goals. I haven't gotten that many yet. I was going to say, if you're taking the time to review this video, though, I especially appreciate it. And if you could like it, take 1/1000 of a second to click that button. It'd make my day. Or vote down and tell me why in the comments. So it'll be interesting to see Miss Maddow so worried about, basically nothing. But will it become a good move on the political chessboard? Will that be a new talking point that could hurt Trump in the polls? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have a woman stabbing a 3-year-old to death and appears to be, she's smirking in court, showing showing no remorse. Which, yeah, pure evil seems to be growing in modern society in the United States, especially as we have the continued cultural decline. There are myriad of reasons to this. I partially blame the decline in religious attendance as well as communities, which used to be two important pillars of society that kept people together and kept people out of nefarious things like this. And why not? We'll throw in the public education ineptitudes as well. I got, 38-year low for ACT scores? So there are myriad of reasons why I think the culture is decaying. Also, I think homeschool kids. Nevertheless, this is first brought to us by Lives at TikTok, in which she says, quote, pure evil. Bianca Ellis smirks and smiles as she appears in court and reads her charges for stabbing a 3-year-old toddler to death. Which, yeah, let's just say, we need more uses of the death penalty. Appropriately applied in court, again, you have to prove it. I know for better or worse, there's a very high burden of proof when you're going for the death penalty, which is why, in many cases, it's so rarely sought after. It's also, in some states, they don't even allow it, which is ridiculous. I know just growing up in the Midwest, I remember Illinois was like that. So you can commit the most horrific acts ever, and yet you're guaranteed to get just free food for life in jail or prison, wherever. Now, I want to say she says why she is beautiful, and of course she didn't suit up. No, that's partially joking. She's in court. Well, I think that's a prison jumpsuit, but yeah, it's about 4 minutes long. We'll probably participate the first minute or two. And yeah, there's a. And again, I should point out this is all alleged, for legal purposes or something like that. And again, she'll have her day in court. She'll be prosecuted, and I suspect they'll provide an appropriate amount of evidence to convict her. But I mean, no matter the situation, let's say she's innocent. Let's throw it out there. Even if you're innocent, would you be smirking? And presumably, even if you're innocent, you'd be scared to death. And yet, there's no remorse. So we'll go ahead and play this real quick.
Code section 2903.11A1 and or endangering children in violation of Ohio Revised Code section 2919.22B2. Count 4 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024.
Wow. So she gives so she's smirking like an a-hole. And then as soon as they get started, she smirks like, he almost looks like a football player. But yeah, just smirking.
The defendant did knowingly cause serious physical harm to JW on date of birth 10/29/2020. Count 5 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2020.
Maybe I misheard it. Wait a minute.
29/2020. Count.
It can't be. It happened that long ago, or just now getting to justice? What?
Did knowingly cause serious physical harm to JW on date of birth 10/29/2020.
Oh, sorry, the date of birth. No, that was a child.
5 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did torture or cruelly abuse JW, date of birth 10/29/2020, a child under 18 years of age, and furthermore, the violation resulted in serious physical harm to JW, date of birth 10/29/2020. Count 6 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did attempt to purposely cause the death of Margot Wood. Count 7 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did attempt to cause the death of Margot Wood as a proximate result of the offender committing or attempting to commit an offense of violence. It is a felony of the first or second degree, to wit, felonious assault, Ohio Revised Code Section 2901.11A1. Count 8 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did knowingly cause serious physical harm to Margot Wood. Count 9 alleges that on or about alter, destroy, conceal, or remove any record, document, or thing for the defendant did with purpose to deprive the owner, Volunteers of America store, of property or services, to wit, knives.
This is also first posted by Ketchup. And yeah, so Liv TikTok also said, quote, toddler killed and stabbing in an attack in Ohio. Bianca ambushed the mother and her toddler in a parking lot and stabbed 3-year-old Julian Wood to death. The monster, Margot Wood, was also stabbed and is recovering in the hospital. And for those who are interested, who are just listening to this and not viewing it, the alleged attacker is a very large African-American woman, and the ones that were assaulted were a Caucasian family with a larger man and a wife and the 2 kids. And this went pretty well. It got 10.4 million views and 47,000 likes, which, again, for love of God, if your state and your local area allow it, I 110% recommend getting a concealed carry license, or if you don't need one because you have constitutional carry, I still recommend taking a class so you can understand the legal ramifications if you do take even if you take a justified legal shot, because you'll still be arrested and you'll still have to be processed. But yeah, defend your family at all costs, legally. And it's just heartbreaking to see this family get a little bit smaller because of this. Wow. Now, Liv's TikTok also said the killer is a government employee who worked in childcare. And she says, yeah, it looks like she worked for the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. She worked in childcare. She's also charged in 2023 for stealing, the government not hiring the best. Hopefully she goes to prison for life and never be allowed near children again, which there's a picture of the alleged killer. I want to say, in terms of fashion sense, she gets an F-. She is at work wearing like a leopard print fuzzy outfit, which is only appropriate for like nightlife, on rare occasions, obviously. Which, an attack on fashion as well. Got 7.5 thousand likes. Now there's also a GoFundMe to the family. There you see a little kid went to preschool. And you have, yeah, the alleged killer in a wig. Just, yeah. Let's see here. Wow. Bond set at $5 million. Again, she's smirking in court. Yeah. Again, the cultural decay is disgusting and heartbreaking. Again, defend your kids at all costs, legally. Now, you also have Paul Zupa saying, quote, black on white crime is often censored by the media because it doesn't fit their narrative. This story is sad, and we all know that if the race is reversed, there'd be speeches by Biden condemning white supremacy, and BLM would be rioting. Instead, there's silence. That's all. That says it all. Quoting 6,000 likes, which, yes, it is also concerning. There are some police departments who stopped reporting the race of perpetrators and criminals because they were worried about possible perceptions of racism. I think San Francisco specifically, there are a couple of police departments that said, "Oh yeah, we're no longer going to release the photos of these criminals." The Texas one also says you'll never hear about this. Luckily, we are the media now, getting 934 likes, which, yeah, let's just say the odds of this happening at CNN or being reported on CNN is near zero. I mean, not zero exactly or precisely, but like 0.0000168%, approximately. Now you also have National Conservatives saying North Oldsped is 2.5% black, getting 51 likes. Ernie Grabowski says he won't be buried in a gold gasket, and no cities will be burned in his honor, getting 2.9 thousand likes. Travis says, horrible, this is what inciting violence looks like. The Democrats can own this anti-white narrative they've been pushing, getting 3.3 thousand likes. Let's see, may you rest in peace. I got 2.4 thousand likes. Old School Eddie says, a 3-year-old that woman needs to be removed permanently from society, getting 3,000 likes, which, yeah, 110%. See. Eastwell says, and once again, it's a South Park, it says, and once again, the suspect is not white, so we will now end all coverage of this event. They got 6.7 thousand likes. Planet of Memes, A+, they responded in meme form, or meme form if you feel so fancy. Usually it's a 50-50 split with that Twitter handle, because sometimes they respond in text only. Now they say, and this is why, and there's a meme of Family Guy, and it says, it's the skin color template next to Peter Griffin. It says same color of the perpetrator. It says 24/7 news, and it's different color shades of white, and then it's light brown, brown, and black, and it says bury it, referring to bury the story. That got 2.2 thousand likes, which reminds me of the Arlington. You had an incident where a teenager shot up a school in Arlington, Texas, and it was really big news for like an hour. Then it was revealed the perpetrator or alleged perpetrator will subsequently charged was African American, and no other mainstream media talked about it at all. On the flip side, every other incident that you will hear about in nauseam for weeks, and they'll use it as a political mechanism to push anti-gun rhetoric and laws to disarm law-abiding citizens. Going down, one bad dude says demons like her are becoming more and more common since our government and media have been promoting mental illness. Unquote, getting 1.5 thousand likes. Body S says known to police strikes again. Ellis, who's known to the North Olmsted Police Department for previous theft charges, was taken into custody without incident. She got 186 likes, which someone here asking if she's legal, which she's a government employee, so probably that got 167 likes. And yeah, it's heartbreaking. Again, concealed carry, especially if you're a mom, it's a must these days. Again, if your city or state allows and permits it, most states do allow that. And it'll be interesting to see if anything is actually done to attempt to make this incident not happen again. Will this person even be charged? Will get slapped on the wrist, 10 years and parole? Will they actually be charged appropriately? In my opinion, they should get the death penalty charges in court. But let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts? And as always, I guess just a sad reminder to keep your family close and protect them. Because evil and cultural decay is everywhere, and evil seems to be growing. And yeah, if you're a law-abiding citizen, definitely responsibly and legally speaking, arm up and be vigilant. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Hunter Biden found guilty of gun charges. Now, this comes after a couple months ago where they were basically going to sweep it under the rug. And then we actually broke the news story. Not we, the alternative media broke the news story, and they found, oh, wait a minute, Hunter Biden was going to get the biggest slap, or the lightest slap on the wrist ever. Again, Hunter Biden, one of his many crimes, is lying on a 4473. Now, think of that as a background check or paperwork or job application to buy a firearm from an FFL, which is if you have a business and you're selling to the end user of the United States, you need that paperwork and you need that license. So on that paperwork, you have to fill out your basic information, where do you live, and then you have to check out these boxes, one of which says you're not addicted to any illegal substances. Now, Hunter Biden is so mentally vacuous, he did check that box, and again, he published a book saying at the time of that gun purchase, he was high on drugs and addicted to drugs. Which again, that would land us in jail for, 10 years and like $100,000 fine? And yet, the first proposed easy deal Biden got was, oh yeah, just stay clean for a couple years and we'll have this fancy process or fancy term it eludes me at the moment, where basically we just wipe this off your record. Just don't do any more gun stuff. We'll keep it, we'll forget about it. Thankfully, the story broke. We all found out about it, and it was then reintroduced to court. That deal was taken away. And it looks like he was just found guilty. What kind of actual charges he'll get, what kind of deal he'll get, that'll be an interesting part. Now, one of the first people to report on this was Charlie Kirk, and he says, quote, Hunter Biden is guilty, yawn. The true crimes of the Biden crime family remain untouched. This is a fake trial trying to make the justice system appear balanced. Don't fall for it, unquote. Getting 750,000 views and 44,000 likes, which, yes, of all the charges Biden, I should specify, because you have to, of all the charges that Hunter Biden has against him, in terms of the mass Americans caring, this is probably the one that, in terms of impact on the election, impact, on affecting people around Hunter Biden, that matters the least. I mean, truth be told, a lot of my libertarian friends would probably just see these gun charges and say, so what? You should be able to do whatever. But nevertheless, the other charges, which are much more interesting, is when Hunter was making all these money from all these foreign countries, including Ukraine, and he had 10% going to the big guy. That's the big story, pun not really intended. Now, one of the first comments comes from Art Candy, our favorite, I was going to say, not really leftist, but nevertheless, whatever happened to the other guy? What happened to Luke Zaleski? He really commented a lot. Let's just check him out later. But nevertheless, Art Candy, with spelled Candee, and her picture for emojis is popcorn and water in a cup with a straw, which, I know there's a lot of fat in popcorn, but I wouldn't consider it candy. Nevertheless, she says, no one is above the law. Your spin is sad. Now, she did get 1.4 thousand likes. So, again, pretty popular sentiment. A lot of people agree with her. 78 people responded. Was she ratioed? Let's see. She was not ratioed by number of likes. One of the first comments comes from Steve, and it says, it just kills their hunter is above the law narrative, solar massive damage control mode. It got 16 likes. Marty Smarnoff says, careful what you wish for. Wheels coming around, getting 4 likes. Let's see. Astro Posty says, that's extremely naive, getting 32 likes. Let's see. Going down more and more. Looks like, yeah, I'd say more than half the people responding to her did respond to her, or sorry, were supportive of her. Now, going down, you have Paul Zupa saying, quote, I guess Jill Biden's plans don't help, getting 133 likes. Let's see here. Keith Aloha, again, another interesting leftist. Again, more data the better. Now, Keith Aloha says, everything you post reminds me of this country, just how sad and pathetic you are. Do better, your life will be better. Now, I actually agree with that sentiment, saying do better, your life will be better, but it is kind of a cliche thing people kind of say to be an asshole, pardon the French. Because, again, we could all do better. He says, everything you post reminds me of this country, just how pathetic. I mean, I think it is good that Hunter is being appropriately charged for this, because, again, any of us, if we were to commit this crime, lie on a 4473, I mean, we would be in jail day one. You lose all your rights, your life would be over. So this is definitely delayed. I was surprised he got any charges at all. I'm not sure if this really makes Charlie pathetic. I think Charlie does have an articulate point that, again, the other charges are much more impactful. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, time to get him for bribery and money laundering. That got 204 likes. The FJC says, we're only starting. And he says, oh, let's see. They should flip him now. Getting 1 like. Let's see. Mayo, I won't say F- for marketing, but her profile picture is not, in fact, of a jar of mayo. But her profile handle name is Mayo is Spicy. That's a ridiculous name. Though, hilariously, that's coming from someone named Topping, so I don't know much ground or perhaps pizza to stand on. Pun obviously intended. She says, condiments against fascism. Must love dogs and democracy. I write obituaries for fun. That's creepy. She writes obituaries for fun? Girl's crazy. Obviously, I'm going to follow her. Let's see. Again, definitely don't agree with what she's saying, but more data the better. Echo chambers get pretty boring. Now, she says, you mega cucks are pathetic. That got 1.8 thousand likes. This is perhaps one of Charlie's most controversial posts of late. 28 people responded to her. And was she ratioed? No. Not by number of likes. Let's see here. A lot of people say good one. A lot of people say they're beyond pathetic. A lot of people saying agreed. Here. A couple of people trying to burn her. Hawks Duck says you are absolutely blinded by the narrative, getting 5 likes. Let's see, scrolling down more and more. Philip Anderson said they just convicted Hunter Biden like I said they would, and now they will set the sentencing for after the election and then let him off the side of the wrist. It's either that or they gave him a small punishment to try to push the false narrative that Biden, Biden and the Democrats didn't weaponize the justice system against Trump to steal the election. They got 394 likes. Let's see. Ms. Amigo got arrested. He says, fake, he's guilty of felony weapons charge. This is a serious conviction, getting 315 likes. Which, it's a serious charge and it's guilty, but what's the actual... It will be interesting to see what the actual end charges are. What's the end punishment at the end of the day? Is it going to be like a $20 fine? Going down more and more. Ryan Sheet says, you people are never happy, getting 632 likes. Goth Adolf says, Charlie, you cry a lot. The true crimes of the Joe Biden family is that he beat your pathetic master and you can't accept that. Oh, wait, that is just a crime. I got 432 likes. I think Charlie might be getting ratioed here. Let's see here. J-Cash MAGA Queen. I will say F- for marketing, but she does not, in fact, have a MAGA or a yellow, sorry, not yellow, pretty part to say the least, should be orange, a red MAGA hat. Again, Trump, in terms of marketing, he should have an orange hat. Again, people like Republicans, they failed us more times than I can count. A lot of people I know are mostly libertarian, because there's a lot of rhinos that, I don't know how many real Republicans there are. So who wants a red hat? Because that's Republican. Where's the orange hat? For Trump or a libertarian? I don't know. But nevertheless, the MAGA Queen says, quote, this is perfect timing for the left. What a coincidence. Now that you can say there is no two-tier justice system and avoid Hunter being charged for his more serious crimes leading to his father and no jail time, unquote, getting 88 likes. So interestingly enough, this is one of the most controversial things Charlie has said all year. And again, it is very interesting timing that this is happening right now for Hunter. Again, I mean, we've known about this for years. I I think there is a grain of truth to it being advantageous timing for Democrats. But let me know, at the end of the day, do you think it'll just get a slap on the wrist? And will this be used as a marketing tool, actually, on the political chessboard by the Democrats, where they can actually use this as a data point saying, hey, there's no two-tier justice system. We just, we finally went after Hunter Biden for that one thing. Let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Biden proposing to remove medical debt from credit. Now, this comes to us thanks to the Biden-Harris HQ verified account on X Twitter. And I was going to say straight from the horse's mouth, or donkey, because politics, and I don't know who's in charge of marketing, but donkeys and elephants just stubborn and stupid. That's not good marketing, but nevertheless, the logos and they've been used for a while. Now, again, they say, quote, ABC, the Biden administration is announcing sweeping changes that could erase that debt from your credit report entirely. They say that 2 out of 5 Americans have medical debt, often totaling thousands of dollars, and unpaid bills, affecting the way they could buy a car, home, or even get a job. This will help. I usually say their voices are infinitely better than mine. See what she has to say, which is just a summary of that, but her voice is better than mine, let's be honest.
2 out of every 5 Americans have medical debt, often totaling thousands of dollars. And those unpaid bills, they can take a big toll on your credit score, which can affect your ability to buy a new car, a home, even get a job. Now, in an ABC News exclusive, we have learned that the Biden administration is announcing sweeping changes that could erase that debt from your credit report entirely.
Now, in terms of moves on political chessboard, it's just getting a lot of views. It's not going viral, but that's a good move. Well, I don't know if it's ethical, because I don't know if it's not necessarily bribing prospective voters, but that would make a lot of voters happy if they can erase those. Now, fascinatingly enough, because of politicians, you cannot erase your student loan debt. Every other debt can be erased through the bankruptcy process, which I don't necessarily recommend, but is a legal mechanism that many Americans utilize to erase their previous debts. And medical debt is one of the largest contributing factors to people going bankrupt. It is a huge cost for many people. Now, that being said, many insurance companies will help you out sometimes. And in terms of setting up a payment plan, that is a very popular mechanism for actually paying these hospitals back for these bills. Also, not spoiler alert, but I guess a tip, you got to negotiate things like you're buying a car. So it does help to say, hey, I mean, I've heard stories. VinWiki is one of my favorite automotive YouTube channels where they talk about a story where one of Ed Bullian's friends was driving a motorcycle, fell flat on his face and he didn't have insurance. They negotiate with the hospital, like, I think it was 20 grand was the list price or the first price they said. They go, hey, let's avoid, this, we don't have you sell this debt to these third parties. Let's get you paid, let's have a payment plan. They got them down to like a fourth of the cost. Like an astronomical discount. So again, in terms of negotiating with the hospitals, let them know, again, not financial advice, but if I was in the situation, I would say, hey, Mr. Hospital, which I guess hospitals aren't humanoids, they can't talk back yet, even with AI, or will they soon? But nevertheless, I would say, hey, here's a bill, here's how much I can pay today, my person don't have health insurance, here's my plan, or let's break down the payment plan and look at how many years and what kind of payment process we can put together to make sure we're both equally compensated for this service that that you provided. Now, if you just erase that off your credit report, that would give a great incentive not to pay it. Because again, the biggest incentive that people have to pay back debt, and in addition to being the moral right thing to do, well, is because of credit report, because it has a huge, especially in the United States, it has a huge impact of what you can buy. Like she said, from houses to cars to, well, shoot, with the price of iPhones and Apple products these days, maybe a laptop. But partially kidding. But this is actually a good move. Now, it's not good in terms of business and businesses and people who actually rely on credit reports for prospective clients and prospective tenants, like for your house. If you were to try to rent that out, you want to know what's this individual's ability to pay. If they have a lot of medical debt, that's money being taken away. It could be used to pay a house for maybe your rent. That's a huge contributing factor. And again, defaulting on a payment also shows that this person historically has not been able to fulfill promises previously agreed to. So that's why it's so tantamount in a friendly reminder to keep your credit up, fairly robust. Again, not financial advice. That's what I would do and what I try to do. Now, going back to the comments, one comes from Crazy Fanac, says, this makes sense. Medical debt should be collectible, of course, but it should not be held against consumers since they in no way reflects their overall credit worthiness. Nobody controls when they get sick, unquote. Got 66 likes, which I understand that. Absolutely. But that is, and again, it is rough because I know some people it's hard to, you have to make decisions on how you invest your money, how you're spending money, especially if you have a limited budget. And some people don't have an opportunity where they can afford have insurance. And now with the government getting involved in insurance, it's one of the reasons it's so messed up in the United States in terms of healthcare. It's the worst of both worlds in terms of private and public. Truth be told, the best, in my opinion, would just be to have private sector do everything, since I've got to see a government do anything better than the private. But I digress. Nikki Mack says, I'm sorry, pretty sure this is already a thing. It wasn't. But nevertheless, she said that. Platinum Memes gets an F- for marketing. They did not, in fact, respond in meme form. They say, quote, if I'm a lender, I want to know a person's full credit history, unquote. I got 7 likes, including one for myself, which, yeah, absolutely you would. Going down more and more. Let's see here. A couple random posts by Pismo talking about Biden's extracurricular, just being at events. Let's see. Yeah, PDD saying, what's the incentive to pay off the debt? Higher medical costs and higher insurance prices coming, unquote. Getting 2 likes, which, yes, that will be one of the unintended consequences, also known as, the ripple effect. Again, a wise man by the name of Tao Sewell once said there's no such thing as solutions, only trade-offs. That's very true. This predictably will lead to more people not paying their medical debt because there's now no incentive to do it, really. They can go after your other assets, but maybe you don't have as many assets. It takes away a huge incentive for people to actually pay them back. Ava, I Must USA says, not giving money to other countries while spending $67 billion a year of our hard-earned cash to support illegals would also help. Getting 6 likes, which, yeah, it's fascinating to see how much people in DC care about other countries more than their own citizens. Rocation Coin says, why did Biden wait for the last few months in office to do anything? Seems an odd and almost like he's pandering for votes all of a sudden. I got 18 likes, which, yeah, that's what I can't help with how. Oh, yeah, of course he is. I mean, there's a reason he didn't do this 3 years ago. Or again, he's been in politics for 50 years. And why didn't he propose this 20 years ago? So again, it is very advantageous timing, but in terms of moving on the political chessboard, he'll probably get some votes for this. Because a lot of people might see this as a life jacket or a life preserver. Doing more. Charles R. Smith says the laws of unintended results are that doctors and medical facilities already had pressed for a budget will go cash for full amount up front and no credit accepted. Of course, you know that. It's Jim from The Office doing the cliche, pointing to the whiteboard and says, there's no forgiveness of medical debt. It says there's a plan to transfer that debt to people that don't owe it. Got 7 likes. There's got to be some contrary statements. Because again, a lot of people are going to like this idea. Because again, it is one of the main reasons people go bankrupt and do have fiscal financial issues in the United States is medical debt. Because it is very expensive for many instances, medical procedures and facilities and services. It's an enormous cost in many ways. Let's see. A lot of pictures of Hunter Biden getting high. Let's see. See if there's 2 more original thoughts. Jeez. Ankush Sharma says Hunter Biden is guilty on all counts. His immediate reaction to Hunter in the hearing the verdict, he's smoking crack. Got 5 likes. Let's see. A couple people saying you still can't buy my vote. Now we're getting down to the 0 and 1 likes. So it is very advantageous timing for Biden. And yeah, I think will this get more than 1% of people to the polls, or will it sway the surveys? Will it get more than 1% of people to switch sides from the middle or from the right to go to the left? Again, I see this as I think a couple people will appreciate this, but let me know, will this actually, and again, it's not technically yet erasing the debt, but it's making it so that it wouldn't really impact your life. Which again, what's the incentive to pay? But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Biden appearing to freeze at a Juneteenth celebration. Now this is first brought to us thanks to Sky News, and they say, quote, President Biden appeared to freeze during Juneteenth celebrations at the White House and began slurring words when speaking to the crowd. I mean, if the picture is, right now the video hasn't played yet. Actually looks pretty dressed up. He did suit up, as all men should. He has a rare United States lapel pin, which in DC these days is a pretty rare thing. Usually have other countries on there. He's actually dressed up pretty good. So, but what happens when they play the video? It's only about 40 seconds long. And again, I was gonna say in this case, it's probably gonna be different from the the D-Day commemoration, where again, after that we saw the full video where he appeared to be squatting before sitting down, and his face looked like he was relieving himself. And the later video did show that he eventually did sit down, as well as the other people. That being said, he was still very hurried off stage, and he made some very awkward facial expressions. Granted, some people might say my whole face is awkward. Point taken, but nevertheless, he looked a little bit more awkward, I would say. Now, without too much further ado, go ahead and play this. It's only about 40 seconds long. And again, from a still frame image, I mean, this actually looks like it could be used on a campaign trail. It's him standing next to Kamala. They're both suited up. Looks like his suit is even ironed. He looks not really happy, but let's play the video. Oh, so they're dancing. Everyone is, I don't know what you call it when you're just dancing in place. Kind of reminds me of the Truffle Shuffle from the Goonies, which is probably the extent of my dancing skills, let's be honest. And, I mean, everyone around him is kind of moving with the music, they're clapping, and Biden's smiling. But, yeah, you just smiling more. Looks alright. Oh, smiling. It almost looks like he just was. It almost looks like he was standing. I mean, everyone else is moving, and he is just standing there like a statue. I mean, it's almost as if it's a robot, allegedly. I mean, I think I look awkward in public sometimes. Jeez Louise. Now he does appear to try to say something too. Again, he suited up. He did something right, or more accurately, his team around him. I always wonder, even Republicans, like, how many of these people actually choose their own clothes? But I partially digress. Not to brag, but I do. Well, I mean, I have much to brag about, but nevertheless.
She no lost hours. Even if we got some HBCU grads in here, we got some HBCU grads. Even if you short a couple credit hours, you can. She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured. Her decades-long march brought her here to the White House when she stood by my side as I signed the Juneteenth federal holiday.
That's pretty bad. It wasn't his worst, though. I mean, that's also showing how far the bar has been dropped. And granted, truth be told, I have my handful of speaking ineptitudes. If you're a reoccurring listener, I especially appreciate you continue to tune in. That's kind of a reoccurring theme on the show. And I do have a theory. The more people that click the subscribe button, the more articulate I've become, and my speaking skills rather have improved. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that the more subscribers I've gotten, the better I've gotten at speaking. So if you can click that subscribe button, yet again, I appreciate it, and it might fuel my theory that that is a cure for my speaking ineptitudes after all. And let's scroll back and listen to that one more time.
Even if you short a couple credit hours, you can. She knows so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured. Her decades-long.
And it doesn't sound great. And Representative Vile got 861,000 views and 2.1 thousand likes. So not very many people liked it. Some of the top comments come from Tom, simply said not fit to serve, getting 142 likes, which the U.S. government did agree. The Department of Justice did not prosecute Biden for the improper storage of classified documents because they thought he's a feeble old man unable to pay trial. Which, again, you could hold the nuclear launch codes and leave the country, but you're not fit to go to trial. Now, Johnny UTD said this guy is actually running for another term, getting 558 likes. Jake says he needs to be put in a home care bro, getting 316 likes. Rob Robinson, catchy name, kind of cheating using the same name twice, but nevertheless, we'll allow it. Rob Robinson says it would be criminal, no pun intended, if someone as awful as Trump is elected principally because Biden is perceived as being too old to do the job, unquote. As you can see, not enough people click the subscribe button because I immediately started stuttering again. My speaking ineptitude is going through the roof, some might say. It's not good because I rent. But nevertheless, that did get 32 likes, which, I wonder what, let's see here, scroll down. See. First comment comes from Mark Scufo, again responding to that, saying, he's not perceived as being too old, he's too old, and so is Trump. We have a minimum age requirement to be president, but no maximum age limit. That doesn't make any sense. No one over 65 should be eligible. I got 3 likes, which, again, I don't care how old Biden is. I mean, Warren Buffett is I should clarify, the best ethical trader in history. Nancy Pelosi's husband is technically better, fiscally speaking. And yet, I mean, Warren Buffett's in his 90s, and he's still sharp as a tack. Now, granted, I'm not sure if he's the pinnacle of health. I don't know if he could run, a mile, 7-minute mile or anything like that. But again, I really don't care about how old someone is as long as they're mentally articulate and able to do the role. And again, Trump is up there in age too. In comparison, he is much more much more energetic and he's much more articulate in his speaking abilities and his rallying capabilities in comparison to Biden. Even just Biden 4 years ago, you look at his speeches, the speaking ineptitudes have increased over time. Which again, we all get old, but again, once you become a certain, once your body degrades so much, does it make sense to have one of the most stressful jobs on the planet? Now, you also have Rob Boyd saying he needs to step down, getting 17 likes. Douglas Orange says he needs to retire, it's not worth it, getting 61 likes. There's any contrarian statements. Chrissy says he needs a reboot, getting 21 likes. Ian Escalera says robot malfunction, getting 3 likes. Leon says, how can the Democrats not have a credible replacement, getting 6 likes, which, again, my theory is they'll be Gavin Newsom. I know not really unique in that idea or that theory, but Gavin is very articulate. He's a successful politician in the fact that he gets reelected in California, despite the business and cultural decay in that area, as well as people leaving. But Democrats do have some options. And I have a high suspicion that they will actually replace Biden this year. But yeah, most people are just roasting in the comments, and again, not looking good for Biden. And the slurs are just seemingly getting worse and worse. Now, that being said, a lot of people are just voting, again, left and right. They just vote for the party. So there are people going to vote for Trump just because he's a Republican, and people vote for Biden or his team just because he's a Democrat. I understand that too. That being said, do you think these types of speaking ineptitudes and slurring will sway more and more Americans to vote for Libertarian or Trump? Or do you think everything's kind of baked in? We've seen this before. It seems to be increasing in frequency. But let me know. Do you think this will be a deal breaker or really sway anyone else at this time? Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you had the UAW president Shawn Fain under federal investigation. Possible corruption in unions? Who would have thunk it? Oh, yes. Wait a minute. They've been corrupt for decades and decades and decades. Now, this is first brought to us thanks to CNBC, and they say, quote, the United Auto Workers president Shawn Fain is under investigation by a federal court-appointed watchdog. The Monitor Neil Brogowski is investigating whether Fain abused his power as union president, potentially violating a 2020 consent decree between the UAW and the United States Department of Justice. The union is in the middle of the nation organizing a drive around non-union automakers, also known as bullying automakers and increasing the cost of goods sold for all the consumers while simultaneously decreasing the quality. And again, I've had family members who have worked union in terms of frontline assembly, as well as families who worked in management. I mean, kind of de facto if you grew up in the Midwest or you have family in Michigan. And yeah, I've seen a lot of ineptitudes on both sides of the equation. In terms of unions, I've seen getting paid a lot of money to do relatively very little work. Again, not all people in unions are like that, I understand it. But yeah, let's just say the union leaders get paid a lot of money. I think Shawn Fain was like $300,000. And yeah, Shawn Fain's right-hand man is a self-proclaimed Marxist, and Bernie Sanders is very closely working with Shawn Fain, which to me tells you everything you need to know about this mentally, morally vacuous individual. Because again, the ideology of communism is the most evil thing on the planet, and why everyone leaves those countries. But nevertheless, go back to a couple of bullet points here. They said, quote, oh, sorry here, lost that. Such actions could potentially violate a 2020 degree. Now they say, sorry, give me the specific quote. The Monitor has attempted for months to garner the union's cooperation in gathering information needed to conduct a full investigation, but the union has effectively slow-rolled the Monitor's access to requested documents. This according to court filing. More recently, the filing says that the Monitor expanded the investigation to include additional allegations of retaliation by Shawn Fain against one of the union's vice presidents. The Monitor also opened an unrelated investigation into another unnamed UAW International Executive Board, or IEP member, regional director, after receiving allegations of potential embezzlement, according to the filing. The UAW embezzling money? No. No. It's a joke because, yeah, they do. Now, they say, quote, without specifically addressing any of the issues in the filing, Fain released a statement Monday night saying, quote, taking our nation in new directions means something. Sometimes you have to rock the boat, and that upsets some people who want to keep the status quo. Our membership expects better and deserves better than the old business model, as usual, unquote. Sounds like the old adage, you gotta crack a couple of eggs. Sometimes you gotta bribe some folks. Yeah, he says, quote, we encourage the Monitor to investigate whether the claims brought forth to the office because we know that what they'll find. A UAW leadership committed to serving the membership and running a democratic union. We're staying focused on winning record contracts, growing our nation, and fighting for economical and social injustice on and off the job, unquote. A little brain fart, I said socialist, which, well, that's what he is, but that's not what he specifically articulated in that quote. Even though he's self-proclaimed, yeah. Now they say that, quote, the union is in the middle of nationwide organizing drive of non-union automakers. The accusations follow Sean's rise of international prominence after the union, under his leadership, got record contracts from GM, Ford, and Stellantis, making them yet more non-competitive. I added that last part, of course. Now they say that the probe stems from the union leaders removing all responsibilities assigned to Secretary Treasurer Margaret Mock, and that are not constitutionally required amid allegations she engaged in misconduct while carrying out her financial oversight responsibilities. They also noted that, quote, in response, the filing says that Mock lodged allegations of her own against the union's president that, among other things, the charges against her were false and that removal of her authority was improperly instigated in retaliation for her refusal or reluctance to authorize certain expenditures, aka spending money they probably shouldn't have. Let's see here. Scroll down more and more. They say the filing states that more than 3 months after the monitor's initial document request, the union has produced a very small portion, approximately 2,600 documents, of the currently potentially relevant pool of approximately 116,000 documents, with more than 80% of those documents only being produced June 6, 2024, days before the issuance of the report. Now, again, these are all allegations. It'll be interesting to see, what is actually brought forth at the end of the day. Definitely not good news for the UAW, which is getting more and more critique for, again, making the most expensive, most unreliable vehicles in the industry. And the most hilariously ironic, and it's a little heartbreaking, because, again, there are good people who work in unions. I know some folks. And at the same time, the union spends millions upon millions of dollars electing politicians like Biden who are making the most profitable items that they make illegal, aka de facto bans of internal combustion engines, and they're forcing the unions to make vehicles like EVs, which inherently require less rudimentary labor and are going to be basically computers on wheels. There's going to be a lot less overall jobs, I should say, in terms of labor jobs for the manufacturer, assembly, and support of EVs versus the traditional internal combustion engine, which again, these companies, they were doing pretty good for a long time. Now, not so much. And I'm not sure how many of them are going to make it to the EV transition. GM has gone bankrupt 3 times since they started the company when Billy Durant combined Buick and Oldsmobile all those years ago. And yet, the quality keeps going down, the price keeps going up, the competition is fierce. Toyota is the largest automotive company on the planet for a reason. Granted, they've had some business blunders lately with reliability, so their reputation is kind of being chiseled away. When it comes to EVs, China's on the rise, having the cheapest price point. Granted, the US is going to try to futilely fight them back with the tariffs, but they're going to make them in Mexico to avoid that. When it comes to the UAW, one of those things where it'll be interesting to see what's proven at the end of the day, and it certainly doesn't help the perception of the UAW. The perception of the unions, and again, there are some good peoples on both sides. It's already not a great perception. The average person, I did, again, small pool sample, but I did a little poll on LinkedIn asking people, hey, do you support unions these days? Again, now the 252 people who did vote, about 68% said no. Again, there's a very small sample size. Most of my connections are in Texas, and most of them are, I would say, on average, are in tech jobs. So again, there are a lot of variables, no such thing as a perfect poll. But, fewer and fewer people are supporting unions, and they are eliminating a lot of jobs at the end of the day with their increased cost and making these companies more actively competitive. Now, will this become a business blunder or perhaps a political blunder for Shawn Fain? What's proven at the end of the day? And will unionship grow under his tenure, and what are things going to look like? Could it lead to another possible bankruptcy like in 2009 when, again, GM as well as Chrysler both went bankrupt? Let me know in the comments. And again, they're one of the most, I always have them in the politics split because, again, they're one of the most biggest influential political contributors, both fiscally as well as they endorse Biden officially. So, not all. Again, I know some people in unions who hate Biden, they disdain him, partially for the reasons that I subsequently said. But it'll be interesting to see what the overall impact is on the upcoming election, and does it sway people one way or the other. Let me know in the comments, especially if you're part of the union, or if you're part of the management of a manufacturer, or someone working the front lines. What's your opinion of Shawn Fain? Do you think he's doing overall good for it? He did increase the cost of goods sold. Okay, he did good in terms of increasing the overall dollar amounts to the unions. Also, one of the reasons they're outsourcing more jobs from the management perspective at the manufacturers. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Dodge Ram having a recall, this time due to brakes. That's weird. Another union assembled vehicle? I'm kidding. I think many of these are actually made in Mexico, truth be told. But nevertheless, this comes to us thanks to Fox Business, which is somehow still in business, fascinatingly enough. Specifically, this is by the contributor by the name of Daniel Genovosi. And they say, quote, Stellantis recalls over 200,000 SUVs, trucks due to stability control issues. It affects certain Dodge 2022 Durangos, as well as the Ram 2500 and 3500 trucks, which are the more heavy-duty trucks. Of course, Stellantis, if you're not a gearhead or don't know, that's a fancy European company name for the holding company that owns a lot of the brands that they consolidate ever since Chrysler Dodge Chrysler Dodge Jeep. They actually went bankrupt in 2009 so bad, they were bought out by a European company by the name of Fiat, which they subsequently became FCA or Fiat Chrysler. And they've grown even more. They have more brands, including everything from, well, obviously Fiat, Chrysler, Jeep, but they also have things like Maserati and a couple other Italian companies. They're just one of the largest portfolios out there. Definitely not look good to have another recall. Now, they say, quote, Stellantis is recalling over 200,000 SUVs and trucks due to a software malfunction that could impact the electronic stability control system. As a result of the malfunction, the anti-lock brake system ABS control module in certain 2022 Durangos, Ram 2500 and 3500, quote, may disable the electronic stability control system and increase the risk of a crash, according to the NHTSA, also known as the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The vehicles fail to comply with the federal safety standards, the auto regulator said. Which, ABS is really important if you're in winter or inclement weather, like if it's raining hard. It's definitely not newer technology. It's been around for decades. But let's just say, again, not advice in terms of, I'm not saying how you drive, but let's say when I drive day to day, I never need ABS. It'll sometimes come on when I'm at the track or if I don't disable it at the track. But yeah, it's something where if I go to the grocery store, I'm not engaging it, even if it's raining. But nevertheless, Stellantis told Fox Business that a routine review of customer feedback prompted the investigation that discovered, quote, some of those may not be working right. Owners of the affected vehicles may notice the ABS malfunction indicator lamp is illuminated when the car is turned on. Dealerships are going to update the ABS control module for free just with the software update. Which, yeah, there's a picture of the gold Dodge Durango. Now it's going down to other details in terms of the timeline when people should be able to expect to hear this going on. They say that letters to owners who are impacted by the recall will be mailed out July 26th. Or, just tune into the show, since it seems like half the business blunders are usually automotive related. Probably because of one of the most complex, expensive purchases most people will make. Now, the company said it's unaware of any injuries or accidents related to the vehicles. Still, the automaker urges customers to follow the instructions of the recall notice. So, definitely not good news for the brand. And again, especially when this is one of the most expensive, complex things most Americans will buy in their lifetime, second only to a house, it's not good to have yet another recall. And especially because, again, many people, it is a safety thing. And again, if you live in snow or it's raining a lot, again, it is important to have ABS. Although I like analog technology, nevertheless, it's one of those things where the average person is not going to be happy. They have to go to a dealership. Thankfully, it looks like, again, on the surface, it looks like a simple software flash. You'll be able to fix it. So I don't think it'll be something where your vehicle has to be even staying overnight or you'll be out without it for a long time. But it's still an inconvenience to chisel away at the company's brand reputation, the hassle to go to the dealership, and depending on dealership allocation or the inventory levels, they may not be able to give you a loaner car, which again is another pain in the butt thing you have to deal with. Again, having an issue where it's the software, it wasn't programmed right. Gotta say that is Mr. Stellantis having a Dodge Ram and Durango. Again, one of the most popular things you sell is the truck. Having a recall is especially, that is the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.